Today, the Rebel investigates a vital service in the national interest provided to Canadian citizens by our noble and proud state broadcaster. Yes, that's right. We are investigating the CBC horoscope section. Do you know that CBC has a horoscope section? And it's not even in the entertainment section where it belongs. It's in the life and culture section for some reason, lumped in with opinion articles and actual news. Truly, I didn't know this. Normally, by the time I get through CBC News and then take a boo over at CBC Kids, I'm forced to slam down my computer screen in horror and then go for a brisk walk to empty my mind. Frankly, I can only imagine what the CBC culture section is like on a day-to-day basis. Now, when I was first thinking about how I would approach this video, I was going to say something snarky about how CBC would likely have articles on their website about how mucklucks and moccasins that I buy to support Aboriginal-owned Canadian businesses are some form of cultural appropriation. But it's no joke, because I checked after I was going to make that comment, and yeah, they actually do have that article up on their website. Now let's take a look at an example of the CBC horoscopes. I pulled this one up completely at random, I swear to God. From the week of April 22nd, 2019, your horoscope for the week ahead, a turning point week. Let me get through this without laughing. The week gets off to a brisk start with the moon in vibrant Sagittarius. A union between the sun and Uranus on Monday will help you think out of the box. Do you need fresh new ideas? Do you want to start a revolution? Uranus will light the fire. This is one of those turning point kind of weeks. The big story is Pluto's change of direction on Wednesday. His power has been cresting for several weeks in preparation for his station retrograde. His apparent backward motion will last about 5 months until early October. Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, has a powerful volcanic kind of energy. It thrusts up from deep in the earth like lava out of a volcano. What on earth did I just read? Did I read a softcore romance novel, the J. Peterman catalog, or a horoscope? And who writes this stuff? Honestly, though, the third week of April, well, that sort of was a turning point week. It was the week after the NDP was trounced in Alberta. Turning point for me, turning point for the NDP. But this is not information I couldn't have gotten anywhere else if I wanted to get it, and I don't. Anyway, all joking aside, I wanted to know why the state broadcaster is paying someone to write horoscopes, who that person is, and how much it's all costing us to have CBC provide this vague astrological slice of Canadiana. Here's the request we sent to the CBC for answers. I'm requesting to know the cost of CBC horoscopes, published weekly. I'd further like to know the date they started, the length of the contract, the reason why it was determined that horoscopes should be in the life and culture section instead of the entertainment section. How much are the life and culture and entertainment sections costing yearly? All authors, editors, managers, IT personnel, the total cost. How sustainable are those sections? Are they self-sufficient, offset by advertising revenue? And we got literally none of the information we asked for back from the CBC. But here's what we did get about this vital public service. We got a series of contracts dating back to 2017, 20 pages worth of information. These are mostly your standard boilerplate CBC contracts. Now, despite not getting the specifics we asked for, we do find out the astrologer column pays like a senior news writer position. The CBC blacks out how much they're paid, but the author or authors of these total fictions are getting a contract every couple of months on average to produce horoscopes for CBC. Now, I did a little poking around on my own, and I found that senior CBC writers may make upwards of $62,000 per year or more than $30 an hour. Not that the amount matters, because I don't think we should be paying for this to start with. CBC has been doing this horoscope business stuff since 2017, so this isn't some remnant of days gone by when CBC was the only game in town and had to be all things to everyone from C to C to C. This is a new thing CBC thinks people want and need from them, despite there being dozens of apps for this kind of stuff. Okay, let's look at some of these contracts. First page, a contract to write 15 astrology postings. On page 2, we can see they use the journalism exemption in the Information Act, that's Section 68, to black out salaries and names for their astrology postings. CBC classified it as journalism to avoid scrutiny. Page 3, we can see the second contract for 32 astrology postings this time, including 6 special astrological event stories, whatever those are. Now, there are so many of these contracts. Let's just breeze through them together. Page 5, a third contract for 32 articles. Page 7, a fourth contract for 4 stories this time. Page 9, a fifth contract for 13 articles. Page 11, a sixth contract again for 13 articles. And on page 13, we've got a 7th contract this time for 14 articles. On page 14, we've got an 8th contract, this one for 30 articles. Oh wait, hang on, because on page 16, the CBC amends that contract upwards to reflect 2 more articles, a total of 32. Page 17, yet another contract, this time for 16 articles. So those are all the contracts I have. By my count, 9 contracts for 171 different astrology articles, predictions, and prognostications of unknown but slightly estimated costs over the course of 2 years. Let's just stop and appreciate that these are the people who say they're going to protect us all from fake news in the coming election cycle. They've used the generous subsidy taxpayers are forced to give them to pay for nearly 200 articles on astrology over the past 2 years, and not a single one of these articles is in the entertainment section where it belongs. Now, lastly, on page 19, we can see the CBC's media lines, what CBC plans to tell people like me if we ask uncomfortable questions about their weird horoscope section and the money they waste on it. CBC thinks this astrology stuff is just great, money well spent. Just look at this. Hey, Chuck, I gather there was an inquiry from a reporter about CBC Life's horoscopes. I have put together some points that will hopefully help with the response. Please let me know if there's anything else you need. CBC Life aims to provide a range of lifestyle content to help Canadians navigate their lives. For those who are so inclined, the weekly horoscopes are one of the tools offered or used to help guide them. They are presented as a fun and entertaining tool, not science. Have had them as part of the CBC Life offering for more than 2 years, since January 2017. There is not a horoscope section, but rather the weekly posts live under the culture section of Life, consistently one of the most popular offerings on the vertical. Hang on a second here. I asked them for this information about how popular the horoscopes are. Why didn't they just give it to me? Anyway, let's go on. Typical content for the lifestyle genre, also done by the Globe and Mail, Toronto Star, National Post, Chatelaine L, Refinery 29. There are also lots of U.S. examples like the Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, Boston Herald, etc. You know, it's sort of funny that this CBC bureaucrat argues that all these other newspapers and magazines do it too, so it's okay if CBC does it. So if it's already being done in the private sector, why does CBC have to do it with our tax dollars? This lady just listed off all the other places I could get this information if I wanted it, and I said I don't. It's obviously not an essential cultural service that needs to be provided by the CBC, that's for darn sure. But my favorite, very favorite part of this email is actually who sent it. It's sent by Susan Taylor, the executive in charge of production for, wait for it, factual content at the CBC. But maybe I'm being a little too harsh here. Is this horoscope stuff any less accurate than the CBC climate change reporting? For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. What you just saw there is the daily video that I do here at The Rebel, but did you know that I have my own weekly full-length show? It's aptly called The Gun Show, and we talk about issues facing Canadians and in Canadian politics in a way that you won't see done in the mainstream media. But to get access to my show, you need to treat yourself to a Rebel subscription today.